Good day, everyone. In this presentation, I'll be walking you through key insights from the 2023 Data USA profile on South Dakota. We'll cover three main areas: findings that stood out, data that raised questions, and a few policy suggestions based on the overall trends. Let's begin with what surprised me the most. The first surprising takeaway was South Dakota's median household income around $72,000, which is actually higher than expected for a mostly rural state. The state also enjoys short commute times averaging just 17 minutes and a low level of income equality shown by a Gini index of 0.443. Agriculture remains dominant, especially with cereal and livestock exports worth billions, but housing remains affordable, with an average home around $236,000. These are strong indicators of income stability and quality of life. Now let's take a look at how South Dakota compares nationally. Here, we can see how South Dakota's median household income compares to the national average. This visualization helps highlight, even though South Dakota is less urbanized, it performs competitively in terms of earnings and affordability. The takeaway is that a smaller rural state can still maintain a strong income base and reasonable living costs, something that might challenge common assumptions. Moving on, let's discuss the parts of the data that raise some questions. While most of the data was encouraging, there were areas that made me pause. The reported poverty rate of 12% might understate real hardship, particularly within tribal regions where poverty is more severe. Similarly, the foreign-born population percentage, just under 4%, may conceal small but underserved immigrant communities. Commute times don't always reflect the long distances rural residents drive, and healthcare access is limited, with about 1,250 patients per provider. Lastly, education data doesn't capture postgraduate out-migration, meaning some of our most educated residents might be leaving the state. Next, let's examine what this looks like visually. This chart helps us visualize some of those disparities. When we look closer, it is clear that statewide averages can mask significant local differences, especially among rural and tribal communities. There's an important point of policymakers to keep in mind as they interpret this data. Now let's turn to some recommendations based on these findings. From this data, I identified 5 key policy suggestions for South Dakota. First, expand the healthcare access through rural clinics and telemedicine. Second, diversify the economy beyond agriculture. Tech and data services could provide new opportunities. Third, retain college graduates by offering job and housing incentives. Fourth, monitor housing affordability as cities grow. And finally, strengthen the support systems for tribal and immigrant populations. Together, these steps could promote inclusive and sustainable growth. Let's conclude with a brief reflection. In summary, South Dakota's data tells a story of resilience and opportunity. The state enjoys strong income levels, short commutes, and relatively low inequality. But it also faces challenges in rural healthcare, education retention, and pockets of hidden poverty. If the state continues investing in people and infrastructure, particularly in its underserved regions, it can build a future that's both equitable and prosperous.